ByBryan DeArdo. 4 hours ago, the Pittsburgh Steelers continue to meet with prospects in preparation for the 2019 NFL Draft, which will officially begin on Thursday, April 25th. Once again, the Steelers are expected to use a multitude of draft picks on the defensive side of the ball. Pittsburgh is also looking to add some talent to their offense that includes using draft picks on the tight end and wide receiver positions. The Steelers also need another running back to complement James Conner and Jayl. Samuels. Below is a full updated list of the team's pre-draft visitors as the Steelers look to add more pieces to what they hope will be a championship puzzle in 2019. Josh Oliver, a 6'5", 250-pound tight end out of San Jose State, caught 56 passes for 709 yards and 4 touchdowns in 2018. He is currently projected as a 4th-round pick in this year's draft. Josh Oliver has some traits to get excited about as a potential contested catch, red zone threat at tight end, but how do you get him on the field? Oliver is a poor blocker right now who will be a liability in that role on the field, while also failing to show the polish and elite athletic traits to be a no. One receiving tight end early in his career. For teams that like to play 2 tight ends and throw the football, Oliver could be more preferable than those looking to run the ball out of 12/13 personnel, which might put his draft stock in the eye of the beholder. The DraftNetwork.com, the 6'4", 303-pound lineman was a 2-year starter at LSU. He played in 45 games with 22 starts during his career while earning second-team All-SEC honors from the SEC coaches in 2017. Nicknamed Bruiser, at LSU for his punishing block style. Regarded as one of the strongest players on LSU's roster, Brumfield is projected as a late-round pick. Garrett Brumfield faces a difficult projection to the pros. He's very tight throughout his frame and struggles significantly with the needed short area quickness and precision needed to be a true asset on the interior. Brumfield won't inspire in space, but he does have a really heavy anchor that allows him to hold his own against power players on the interior. Brumfield projects as a potential practice squad player but needs to find a lot of extra ROM and quickness to stick in the pros. The DraftNetwork.com, a big target at 6'6" and 256 pounds, former LSU tight end Foster Moreau caught 52 passes for 629 yards and 6 touchdowns during his time with the Tigers. He is currently projected as a 4th-round pick in this year's draft. Moreau was utilized heavily as a blocker during his time at LSU, showing excellent effort and physicality despite limited strength and inconsistent technique. He's not good enough in that area to make it his calling card at the NFL level, but Moreau's athleticism and strong hands suggest that there may be more production waiting for him as a receiver in the NFL. In order to make that potential a reality, Moreau will have to improve his routes, footwork and finishing ability in tough spots, but there are worse ways to spend a day 3 pick. The DraftNetwork.com, the former Texas pass rusher recorded 9.5 sacks and 18 tackles for loss during his final season with the Longhorns. The 6'6", 275-pound Omenihu is currently projected as a late 1st or early 2nd-round pick. One of the more fun parts of being an NFL draft analyst is finding gems like Omenihu that few people are talking about, likely due to the fact he plays in the defensive-deficient Big 12. That part may be true, but don't blame Omenihu. He did his part to bring defense back to the conference, with 16 tackles for loss and 9.5 sacks in 2018. Omenihu should be one of the biggest risers of the pre-draft process, particularly when more analysts get a chance to look at his tape and see minimal weaknesses coupled with a complete skill set. Omenihu's length, explosiveness and physicality make him extremely difficult to handle 1v1, both in the run game and as a pass rusher. His growth this season and his versatility to play all over the defensive front are both extremely encouraging from an NFL evaluation standpoint. If Omenihu has the week I expect he will at the Senior Bowl and Combine, he should be a top 50 lock come April. The DraftNetwork.com, 1, DB Byron Murphy. Projected as a 1st-round pick in this year's draft, Washington cornerback Byron Murphy picked off 6 passes and broke up 20 passes during his final 2 seasons with the Huskies. He is widely regarded as the No. One comeback in this year's draft. Murphy's fluidity, quickness, speed, ability to mirror routes, press technique, zone awareness and ball skills make him a scheme-transcendent talent. He features lockdown coverage skills with the ability to make game-changing plays on the football. He may have only started 20 games in college, but his football IQ and athletic ability is good enough to contribute right away. Murphy has the potential to be among the top cornerbacks in the NFL by year 3, the DraftNetwork.com projected as a late first, early round pick in this year's draft. Former Georgia cornerback DeAndre Baker picked off 7 passes and broke up 23 passes during his final 3 seasons with the Bulldogs. DeAndre Baker improved every year in college, culminating with a dominant senior season. His blend of ball skills, press technique, route anticipation skills and awareness combined with modest fluidity and long speed make him best served to function as a press, zone corner. Baker is an extreme competitor, which shows up in how he tackles, battles at the catch point and plays off contact. Given his limitations in off-man coverage, Baker is a scheme-specific prospect but represents top-end ability for a team in search of what he does well. Baker should be an impact starter in press, zone. The DraftNetwork.com former TCU linebacker Ben Banogu racked up 20.0 sacks along with 45.0 tackle for loss, 7 forced fumbles and 3 fumble recoveries during his final 3 seasons with the Horned Frogs. He is projected as a late-round pick in his year's draft. Banogu sacked together 2 productive seasons for TCU after transferring from Louisiana Monroe. In the NFL, Banogu is likely a situational defender given his strength, technique and flexibility limitations. Against the run, Banogu is best suited to slash gaps and not be tasked with edge-setting duties. Maximizing his pass-rushing upside will require linear rush angles, so he's best utilized in pressure packages where he stunts attacks from the second level. Carving out a role in sub-packages and winning on special teams is critical for a sustained career. The DraftNetwork.com, the 6'3", 185-pound defensive back broke up a staggering 24 passes during his final season with the Spartans. He's currently slated as a third-round pick. It's hard to figure out exactly why Lane has been a huge riser during the pre-draft process, as his combine was just solid, and his tape leaves a lot to be desired as well. That's not to say Lane doesn't have any promise, as his length, physicality and good enough long speed for a big corner are certainly intriguing if he could develop better press technique. The big problem is that a cornerback's primary job is to limit throwing windows, and Lane really doesn't do that consistently at all. Speedier receivers beat him vertically, and all types can separate on and breaking routes. Even limited nuance at the line of scrimmage was enough to win an inside release against him in press, and Lane's transitions aren't fluid or explosive enough to recover the early space created by most opponents. Lane should project as a mid-round developmental cornerback whose best chance of playing well early would be in a zone-heavy scheme. Considering the fact he's getting first-round buzz right now, it is worth wondering if he will get the chance to progress as needed, or be thrust into a major role out of necessity right away. The DraftNetwork.com Rocky Ya-Sin projected as a 4th-round pick. Rocky Ya-Sin picked off 2 passes while breaking up 12 more passes in 2018. Rocky Ya-Sin is a developmental target for teams who like to rely on man coverage and are looking to develop a potential outside starter by year 2 or 3. Ya-Sin is clearly comfortable playing in tight quarters, and has great body control and flexibility, both traits that project him favorably as man coverage starter. That said, Ya-Sin must grow more comfortable playing the ball in the air and matching multi-break routes with measured footwork, or he will always remain a low-impact player on the ball despite his length. Ya-Sin's wrestling background, esteem for hard work, and limited football experience all project favorably to a successful developmental track in the NFL. The DraftNetwork.com West Virginia safety Drayvon Henry picked off 6 passes during his time with the Mountaineers. The 6'0", 200-pound Henry converted from cornerback to safety after his freshman season. He's currently projected as a late-round pick. A projected late-round pick, the 6'1", 230-pound linebacker recorded 346 tackles along with 8.5 sacks, 3 interceptions, 3 fumble recoveries and 3 forced fumbles during his final 3 seasons at Akron. Ulysses Gilbert is a high-upside study, but one who will probably have to make his way onto a 53-man roster courtesy of some skills in the special teams arena. Gilbert projects well as a space linebacker, something needed on every roster in today's NFL. But his confidence in zone coverage looms as a big hurdle and prevents him from playing as athletic as his skill set suggests he could with more confidence. Developmental prospect, thedraftnetwork.com, the 6'0", 181-pound defensive back picked off 9 passes during his final 3 seasons at Central Michigan that included a career-high 5 picks in 2017. He also forced 2 fumbles over the past 2 seasons. Sean Bunting projects as a high-ceiling prospect, but one who will require a fair amount of development to reach his ceiling as a prospect. Bunting has great physical gifts and the needed length to be a tear from the hip, but he can be too loose at the loss and can be late to find the football in turn and run coverage. Bunting is currently best in bail technique, so a cover 3 system would get the most out of Bunting in the immediate future. Potential long-term starter at thedraftnetwork.com, the 6'0", 230-pound linebacker enjoyed a standout season in 2018, recording 90 tackles that included 16.5 tackles for loss. He also recorded 6.5 sacks to go with 2 forced fumbles. A JUCO product, Gary Johnson has several qualities that could sell a team that he is an NFL LB. Johnson's restrictions are cause for concern, however. Johnson seems less reactive in tight spaces and does not do well to discard of blocks at the point of attack. In addition, Johnson doesn't present a lot of range and space to help defend against the pass. Johnson needs to land in a system that emphasizes clean LBs if he's to further develop and stick in the NFL. TheDraftNetwork.com, the 5'10", 201-pound defensive back switched from cornerback to safety prior to the start of the 2018 season. He recorded 3 interceptions last fall while also breaking up 8 other passes. Jordan Brailford, 94, ran a solid 40 but did not participate in the field testing at the NFL Combine. The 6'3", 250-pound linebacker enjoyed a breakout season in 2018, recording 10.0 sacks, 2 forced fumbles and 17.0 tackles for loss. He recorded 5.0 sacks and 11 tackles for loss in 2017-25. LB Ben Burkervin, the 6'0", 221-pound linebacker recorded 176 tackles that included 82 solo stops in 2018 while helping the Huskies reach the 2019 Pro Bowl game. He also forced 4 fumbles and recovered 3 more last season. The 5'11", 200-pound defensive back picked off 7 passes during his final 2 seasons with the Terrapins. Recorded 4 interceptions last season that included a pick-six, the second of his collegiate career. Former Ohio State running back Mike Weber rushed for 2,676 yards and 24 touchdowns while averaging 5.9 yards per carry during his final 3 seasons with the Buckeyes. Weber's play helped Ohio State capture back-to-back Big Ten championships as well as the 2017 Cotton Bowl and the 2019 Rose Bowl. The former Miami Hurricanes running back rushed for 1,995 yards and 12 scores while averaging 6.0 yards per carry during his time with the Hurricanes. Homer rushed for 168 yards and a score on just 8 carries in Miami's 2018 victory over the University of Pittsburgh. Former West Virginia linebacker David Long racked up 108 tackles, 19.5 for loss, 7.0 sacks and 2 forced fumbles last fall. For his career, Long tallied 246 tackles, 39.5 for loss, to go with 12.5 sacks. Former Notre Dame wide receiver Miles Boykin had a breakout season in 2018, catching 59 passes for 872 yards and 8 touchdowns. The 6'4", 228-pound wideout caught 11 passes for 114 yards and a score in the Irish's 2018 victory over Stanford. Former Florida running back Jordan Scarlett rushed for 776 yards and 10 scores while averaging 5.9 yards per carry in 2018 after missing the entire 2017 season. 2016, the 5'11", 210-pound back rushed for 889 yards and 6 scores while averaging 5.0 yards per carry. Sanders, who rushed for 1,274 yards and 9 touchdowns during his final season with the Nittany Lions, expressed his desire to play for Steelers head coach Mike Tomlin and with Pittsburgh quarterback Ben Roethlisberger during the Combine. The Draft Network is currently projecting Sanders as a fourth-round pick. Harris, who rushed for 3,070 yards and 23 touchdowns at Alabama while averaging 6.4 yards per carry, is projected as a late third-round pick by the Draft Network. Harris helped Alabama capture 2 national championships. Former Notre Dame tight end Elise Mack, a 6'5", 247-pound target, caught 68 passes for 716 yards and 4 touchdowns with the Fighting Irish while averaging 10.5 yards per catch. Isabella, a 5'10", 190-pound target, caught 102 passes for 1,698 yards and 13 touchdowns last fall and is projected as a late third, early fourth-round pick. Isabella's speed, separation quickness and slippery in his post-catch will make him a solid top 3 contributor for a receiving core at the next level. The Draft Network's John Ledyard wrote of Isabella: "Ideally he'll work from the slot with the ability to kick outside situationally, and his vertical ability makes him more dangerous than the traditional inside receiver." Dylan Mitchell, a 6'2", 189-pound target, caught 75 passes for 1,184 yards and 10 touchdowns last season for the Ducks. He's currently being projected as a 4th or 5th round pick. Start the conversation. Greater than 247 Sports.